Good morning. This is Perry Wilkey with Major League Trading. It is 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, October 15, 2019. This is the real first day of earnings season. Can I get a sound check and let me know that you guys can hear me all right? Thank you, Frank. All right, so let's get started. So, yesterday was a day that we suggested that you take off, and Eric was smarter than I guess he did listen and took it off. I didn't trade. I didn't plan on trading. I just glanced at the market, did an analysis, and kind of glanced out of the corner of my eye at today or yesterday. So yesterday had a little bit of a bearish tone to it. Overnight has been bullish, and then if we look at the intermediate periods, the 5 to 10 day, it's neutral, a little bit more bullish on the Nasdaq. 15 to 20, more of a bearish tone with neutral on the Nasdaq, and the 20 to 60 day time frame is neutral for the Nasdaq and bearish for the rest. But very strong year to date, and I don't put this down here, but year to date obviously very bullish. So you can glance at the Fed funds rate, nothing to think about right now. Tomorrow we'll have retail sales at 8:30. Thursday we'll have the Philly Fed manufacturing at 8:30. So the big news today was we have earnings, right? The banks, Citi, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Schwab, and then you have a couple others. You have Dow Component, United Healthcare. We also have Wells Fargo up here, and then we have an airline after. So then that's the only real news today. And at 3:25, Bullard speaks. I don't think it's really going to do anything for anything. You can glance down at the rest of the indexes, but looking at the year to date, like I said, really, this is where we ended last year. So well above that percentage wise, and we're still just waffling back around in this range that we've been in since basically March to April, and we're just keep going to the lower end up to the higher end. So we're about 2/3 of the way up right now. So looking at yesterday's action again, bearish tone because all the prints were under the previous day's value area. So this is where value was for Friday, and all the prices traded yesterday were below that. Looking at all the indexes, the Nasdaq was in and basically floating around unchanged at the bottom end of value. Very similar for the Dow, but the ES and the Russell a little bit more weakness to them. Looking at the initial balance study, and this tells you a day that you should have taken off unless you like to play chop, which most traders find very difficult, if not impossible, to make money on consistently. But look at the initial balance study, these gray solid lines here, barely any trades above or below all day, and actually no trades below and only a handful of trades above. Looking at the bell-to-bell fibs and internals, we can see that anytime that both draws over on the right side are losing their burnt orange line, so right, the bulls can't hold a draw and the bears can't hold a draw. That's a sign of chop. If we look at the pressure, a little bit of buying pressure here and there, actually a fair amount of buying pressure, but no selling pressure at all. Looking at the Nasdaq, very similar picture, right? Dipping into the 61.8 on both sides and just really not going anything because we're just going straight across. We'll get into these longer term charts in just a second. Looking at the Dow, minus a whopping 29 points close to close and up a whopping 27 points open to close. If we look at stocks closing at the highs or the lows for the day, we can see that a fair amount closed at the bottom of the range, a fair amount closed at the top end of the range, and the rest were in the middle. Nothing really going on here on the inside day. If we look at the profile, we can see that we have the nice bell curve distribution. So really all we have to do is pay attention to the value area, right? Are we above value or below value? And kind of just stay away inside of value, unless you're going from the top and you think we're gonna roll through and go to the bottom, an 80% roll, or from the bottom to the top, something like that. But obviously we're above value right now, so value area low should be right around as deep as the market should get on any bearishness. So looking at the overnight trading, 16 points even in the overnight session. You can see that after futures opened up, right, they rotated up and around. I'm going to zoom in over here for a minute. So this is the value area for yesterday because it was a day that was basically a holiday. We have a very narrow range from 29.65 half to 29.69 half. So you got 4 points of value here. So we closed near the bottom end of that yesterday and then immediately wrapped up, rotated around it above the previous day's high and right up to R3 in the overnight session. Looking at all the indexes, we can see that they've all peaked above the previous day's high. They're all still holding above value area high, and we'll see what can happen, right? So one thing to notice that on all these indexes, you can see a downtrend channel from these highs, and you can't take too much out of it, but we want to see if it breaks or it holds. But this is something that could potentially take us down to yesterday's low if we get bearishness in the market. But what should happen is the channel gets broken, we come back up, we retest the overnight highs, and probably end up closing around those levels or a little bit higher. So if we'll go ahead and look at the volume. So 195,000 for the ES, 80 for the Nasdaq. So volume is just average. It's not above average. It's not below average. It just is what it is. It's just a normal overnight day. So no exuberance going on for either side. So of those contracts, a lot of more of the volume happens closer to the bell. So from these 2:45 a.m. highs, right, the volume has been to the downside even though we're up. So let's look at overnight trends. These two left panels are from yesterday's action, so don't pay attention to this. We're looking at the right side. The bullish check and the bearish check. A little bit sloppy still for both, right? Nothing really going on with some serious trends. The bulls are loosely holding their 61.8 down here. The bears are basically since around 6:30 this morning, they're holding their 38.2 for the most part. So it's always a question of what trades first. Do we break the 29.78 quarters for the bears, or do they hit their target of 29.69? And for the bulls, right, they want to stay above 29.72 half, and they want to trade up to 29.86 quarter. Let's do the same analysis for the Nasdaq. You can see a little bit cleaner here with holding the sequence down for them, and more of a definitive break for the bulls, right? So the bulls don't have anything going on right now, and the bears do. So for the bears to continue, right, they want to trade down to 78.58 quarter, right? And they don't want to lose 78.92.75. Looking at the ES, we're just really in this upper node. You could make a split right around where yesterday's low was, and then that'll separate these two, node areas. So we're right in the meat of this node, and really we have 67.75, 77, 85.75, and 93 quarter are right around where we're playing. I would expect us to stay in those ranges. I don't expect us to get much below this area. Just looking at the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq is much stronger, right? It's even holding the meat of this. And if you look at right where this apex is on this node, that's right at 78.73, we'll call it. So holding above there is going to be obviously more bullish. So we can note that out. And pay attention to that going forward. So that'll kind of like be a mini bull bear line, and that's really going to either lead you down to 78.29 or up to 79.28. Moving on to crude. Crude is stuck, you know, in the lower end of this channel and the lower end of this profile. So it's still, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more, make it a little easier to see. So this is really the channel that we're looking at. So we're at the bottom end of the range. We just got back in. We just poked back up above 53.45. We could easily now make it up to 54. So basically up to 53.93 or 54.12. Right in that area should be your target zone. I don't think it's going to get a pop above there yet. We'll see. So watch for from this low, and you've taken back this entire down move, right? You're over it as well. So crude looks very bullish. So I'd be looking to play into a bullish sequence and setup coming out of these overnight lows. But if you look at coming out of this low, there really hasn't been a pullback yet. It doesn't mean you should buy up here because that's a bad idea. But watch this for continuation and see what happens when we get up to this area. It might be something that you can't get into today. You have to just wait till tomorrow after it hits this zone, retraces a little bit, and then get the next move up. So looking at gold down here, and it's firmly not being able to get above 1502.90. So we still have the 1493 halves, 1486.70, 1481.30s right in here. And I would say that this one, I'm going to change this style of the line. This is the one that the bulls really need to hold. So above, you're still looking at going back up towards the point of control for this area, the bottom end of all this consolidation. So that's going to be right around 1510 would be the upside if you can break over 1502.90. But I think you're stuck. I think you're heading back down towards 1486.70. And we'll watch if the indexes are a little bit weak today. Gold might hold 1493s and get a pop. If the indexes really start with some buying pressure, gold's probably going to lose. It's going to probably be the loser for the day. So looking back at all the indexes, kind of putting some final thoughts on here. So again, we want to see value area high hold. We're watching 78, 73. So right around where we're trading right now is a line for this. So we're going to move this down. And the 78, 73 is going to be more of a bull bear line. But keep in mind you got value right here. And really from here probably down to value area low is more of a do not trade zone. It's more of a, just stay out of it. But if we can hold right around here to value area high, which is 78.67.5, and start, going back up above the previous day's high, we should get a quick run back up to this point here, which is going to be 78.97 basically. So I hope this helps. I think the NASDAQ is your key. I would pay attention to these lines. And we could just consolidate and chop some more, waiting with some more earnings, or we could get some good plays today. Remember, there's no real news scheduled today. I hope this helps. I'll be in Discord on and off, and I will talk to you tomorrow.